granted, and to serve Krishna he's, as we're directed to serve Krishna, actually, through the spiritual master and scripture like that. So Prabhupada here is, he's very expert in having us understand that impersonal speculation and any kind of speculative, um, you know, instead of hearing from the descending process from Krishna on down through the disciplic succession, I think probably 95% people in the world, they want to try to get knowledge on their own. They want to try to figure out, figure out the truth. Those who want to figure out the truth are more in a speculation mood. At least that's how I used to be, and that's what I still come across when I talk to people. They have it all kind of figured out, or if they don't, they're trying to gain knowledge. They're, maybe visiting different places of worship or not, if they're not really inclined that way, but they're doing a lot of reading and a lot of attempting to maybe chant different mantras that, aren't really quite the Maha Mantra. They're kind of just, it's like flying around the airport and not really coming in for a landing yet, is what it appears. And this verse by Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu, or as we know it, the Nectar of Instruction, saying one should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord favorably, without desire for material profit or gain. So that's actually pure devotional service. And, it takes some time to get to that platform, as we know, because there's always so many attractive things pulling us from that sort of pure platform. And, we're having to deal in the material world practically every day. So it's actually, it's quite difficult to do, but as we take shelter of spiritual master and in the sadhana bhakti stage, or as it's called, the neophyte stage, having faith that, progress will come. And it does 100% of the time. Krishna consciousness works 100% of the time. Sadhana bhakti works 100% of the time. And associating with devotees, particularly senior devotees who are able to give us association and share their realizations, and practicing, devotional service according to our psychophysical nature and according to the direction of the spiritual master. So it's a perfect process, and it doesn't have to be overthought. It's actually quite simple. Prabhupada says it's simple for the simple. It doesn't take a lot of, thinking about, and it's actually, I feel like, quite a relief that I don't really have to think too much about what like a destination. I can just do what I'm told. I can be compliant, and obviously I can, act according to direction from the spiritual master and senior devotees. So sadhana bhakti, we're very fortunate to have the sadhana bhakti process. So this is text 69. Nano pachara krita puja namata bando prenaiva bhakta hridayam sukha vidrutam shat yava shurasti chatare jarata pipasha tavat sukhaya bhavato nanubakshape. Ramananda Roy continued, as long as there is hunger and thirst within the stomach, varieties of food and drink make one feel very happy. Similarly, when the Lord is worshipped with pure love, the various activities performed in the course of that worship awaken transcendental bliss in the heart of the devotee. And I feel like sometimes we get little glimpses of that as we go about our daily devotional service. And it's just more of an enticement to continue. We get little pops here and there. And they're addicting. You want to continue to do devotional service to get that little pop or that little glimpse, or maybe even a sporty that impels you to want to do more and have it again, you know. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Mati Kriyatam Yadi Kutopi Labhayate Tatra Lalyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukritarna Labhyate. Pure devotional service and Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activities in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price, that is, intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. Read Lalyam. Purport. The previous two verses are included in the Padyavali, an anthology compiled by Srila Rupa Goswami. Verse 69 refers to devotional service and faith, and verse 70 refers to devotional service rendered out of intense greed. The first is devotional service rendered in accordance with the regulative principles, and the second refers to spontaneous loving service of the Lord without extraneous endeavor. Henceforward, the basic principle underlying the talks between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy will be spontaneous loving service to the Lord. The regulative principles, according to the injunctions of the Shastras, are necessary insofar as one's original dormant Krishna consciousness is not spontaneously awakened. An example of spontaneous action is the flowing of rivers into the ocean. Nothing can stop this flow of water. Similarly, when one's dormant Krishna consciousness is awakened, it spontaneously flows to the lotus feet of Krishna without impediment. Whatever will be spoken henceforth by Ramananda Roy, based on spontaneous love, will be agreeable to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord will ask him more and more about this subject. So this purport I was finding very interesting because recently there's been this sort of, I don't know, not really a debate, but just some speaking about if Krishna consciousness is inherent or inherited. And clearly, Srila Prabhupada speaks in so many verses about it being inherent means you're born with this dormant love of Krishna. Everybody has it, you know, we all have it. And through the process of sadhana bhakti, it's little by little, it's uncovered, you know. That purification that goes on as we do devotional service, particularly as we chant the Maha Mantra every single day, so many mantras. And Krishna, you know, through his holy names, allows us to engage in that purificatory process so we can render better and more pure devotional service unto the Lord. So this is obviously the perfect process. It's talked about again and again, you know, throughout so many scriptures, the sadhana bhakti process, and the fact that this is the way that we can revive, you know, we can revive our dormant and sort of not so prominent, you know, with conditioning, revive that love of Krishna. And another point from this particular purport that I was finding kind of interesting, once it starts, it can't really be stopped. You know, once it's revived, and you know, we all have seen or experienced, maybe there's some times where the flow of that devotional service can be kind of at a lull. It's a little bit just sort of quiet, and then something happens and it kind of impels us to flow a little more quickly, you know. So it can't be stopped, and even with the death of this body, you know, it's going to keep going on life after life until we're perfected, you know, until we're perfected in that devotional service. And that's actually, I feel like, something really to look forward to, for us to look forward to and to keep striving for, because, you know, everything else is just, all other activities in this material world are just, they're quite, uh, you know, I don't know. At this point, it's like chewing the chewed. Once you understand that whatever you're doing is just sort of like, oh, you've been there, you've done it, you're tired of it, then that's when the flow, I feel like, really there's a little bit of a blocking of that flow of devotional service. But once you kind of begin to feel that disgust with material, enjoyment, material life like that, then that's when the flow can really start to happen. And one thing that, as if we're in the process of surrendering to Krishna, that actually encompasses also a level of surrender to, I'm going to say, to your position as a servant in regards to other persons, to the Vaishnavas, to, any Krishna's in everybody's heart. And he's always speaking through others to give us lessons. So surrendering also to that, those lessons that might be taught by in an unusual way, or by people that you wouldn't expect, just surrendering to that and just trying to really hear what's being conveyed, what messages are being conveyed. And, sometimes that's quite difficult. But as we go through the surrender process, which, it's not like one and done. You're surrendered. It's every single day, practically every minute, especially if you're in the association of devotees or other sadhus and you're doing service. There has to be a level of humility to be able to surrender to everything that's going on for you, that Krishna's arranging to give you those lessons that you need to progress a little further in devotional service. And it's not easy. Sometimes it can be quite painful to get those lessons. But, over time, Krishna tends to show why those lessons were put forth at the time. And then as you realize, okay, then that was the perfect arrangement, then, that a little bit more of the surrender process takes place. So I'm excited to hear about, as we go further into the talks of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy, because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is just inviting Ramananda Roy, just lay it all on me, just, tell me what you know. And, as we talk about these things amongst each other, they're very nectar. I mean, they're very much so relishable. They're to hear also others' perspectives about various parts of devotional service, and to gain different perspectives yourself from that hearing. And, then it gives more of a holistic view, kind of just a well-rounded view about everything that's going on, what you're doing, how you're doing it, and like that. So it's actually, Krishna Katha is really so important to speak about amongst ourselves as well. There needs to always be more and more and more, practically, so we can have a better understanding. So encouraging everybody, talk to me about Krishna. I need to hear more. And, if anybody starts that conversation, it's above all else, it's the most relishable thing. So I'll stop there, and we're at text 71, and we'll continue next week with hearing from Ramananda Roy. Does anybody have any reflections or corrections? That went fast. No? Okay. Thank you. Nothing? Okay. Okay. All glories to the devotees, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is like the graduate study of Bhakti Yoga, and all glories to Sri Sri Radha Golokananda, who are having us all come together here at New Goloka Dham and serve them and try to please them and try to learn how to love them. which is a very wonderful process. A very wonderful process. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Enam Kanvantam Aravindanalayataptam Bharhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Bhagom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Angani Asa Sakale Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Namaham Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Samenikinamine. stay. Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracha, Nivasesha, Shunyavade, Pashachade, Satarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Sivasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadada Sivasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Sivasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Advaita Gadada Sivasade Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Radha, Anurukinana Radha, Anurukinana Radha. Radha, Anurukinana Radha, Anurukinana Radha. Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, 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 Radhe. Radhe, 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 Radhe. Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe, Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa Paracharya also.
Bhavavadavagni nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitarnam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Varnanam Jivanam Brahmita Swaranam Sarvatmasnapanam Parm Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Vahudanija Sarva Shakti Tatrapitani Amita Smaranena Kala Etadrishita Bhakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Dordaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Avitam Va Jagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktira Hoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitamam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayat Stita Duli Sadrasham Mitintaya Nayanam Galajudaraya Varanam Gadgada Rudaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tava Namagrahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishyava Padam Rastumam Adarshanam Marmahata Karotuva Yatatata vavindatolam patomat prananatastu saeva napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen to the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as an at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand in annotation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in this world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me brokenhearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he's always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Ki Jai. Eat less and less, so you have to.
All right, we'll see you. See you next year. See you next year.
It's going to rain today.
Yeah. It's not gonna be. Okay, nice class.
Yeah. Good. It only takes a couple seconds.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what everybody's